CEASE basically refers to Special Entry Access Schemes, and that means VTAC is coordinating on behalf of a number of institutions people who want to alert them to long-term disadvantage. If you feel like anything in your life has negatively affected your capacity to be educated, then you need to consider whether CEASE applies to you. There is one category that applies to everyone, and that's Category 1. Category 1 covers what they call personal information and location. So you can see in this grey bluey table here all the reasons why you might qualify for something under Category 1. So this table here shows you how it can work. This is an example of a course that had a clearly in of 85. So you can see that the first 3 got in simply because they had scores above the clearly in. So we see that Liam had 80 and he didn't get offered a place because he missed out on the clearly in. You'll see that with Louis, he only got 75 as an ATAR, but they applied some CEASE ratings to him, or a bonus or a re-rank, we don't know. But they also applied some subject bonuses, so he probably did some of the subjects that were relevant to that course, and he ended up with a new ranking of 86, which placed him above the 85. So that's how CEASE works, okay? Poor old Justin, he just missed out, so hopefully he was clever enough to list some pathway options in his preferences, and he will have got something else as well, but not this course. There's a very important note here. CEASE does not exempt you from meeting course requirements. So no matter what your disadvantage has been, no matter how awful the impact has been, you must still get all the prerequisites covered. If you were meant to attend an interview or an audition, if you were meant to submit a folio by an earlier date, if you needed to do things like the UMAT, that has to have been done. If you needed certain subjects to get in, you have to do that. If you haven't covered that off, then CEASE, unfortunately, can do nothing for you. But once you've met all the prerequisites for the course, then CEASE can help you through the door. There are 4 different categories for CEASE. I've talked about Category 1 already. Then there are 3 others: difficult circumstances, disadvantaged financial background, disability, or medical condition. All of those categories will be on one page when you go into the system, and you'll be looking for this tab up here, the CEASE and Scholarships tab. You apply for as many categories as apply to you, and you do need to understand that you can only activate the CEASE function after you have entered at least one preference. So if you have registered and you're clicking on the CEASE button and it's not working, you need to enter a preference. Okay, if you haven't registered, can you do that today? Thank you. All right. I said I'd talk more about Category 1, and that's because we are very lucky at Northcote High. We have access to a number of special arrangements at 3 unis: RMIT, Vic Uni, and La Trobe. La Trobe actually has made an arrangement with VTAC that means we don't have to do anything. Look up La Trobe Priority Access Program and you go to the courses that they offer an advantage for. Not all of their courses are included in this program, but most of them are. For RMIT and Vic Uni, we have to tick box 1 in order for you to have that applied to you. Okay, so that's really, really crucial. If you think you want to go to RMIT or Vic Uni, you must tick box 1. Those 2 arrangements are called SNAP at RMIT and PPP at Victoria Uni. Tick box 1 even if you're not sure that you want to go to any of these unis. Okay, let's have a closer look at some of the other categories. Category 2 refers to difficult circumstances. That means something has happened in your family or your life that has made life much more difficult for you than for perhaps lots of other people. Examples include your living situation being disrupted, so you may have had to move out of home for some reason, or maybe elderly relatives have moved in and you've had to give up your room, something like that. Death in the family is always disruptive, although for the purposes of CEASE you do have to demonstrate how it's affected your education. Natural disaster, refugee status, these are all things that disrupt your education. As I said, disruption is one thing. You have to be able to demonstrate that it's actually had an effect on your education. And to do that, you'll be asked to submit an impact statement and a statement of support. We'll talk more about that soon. Category 3 refers to disadvantaged financial background. This is reasonably straightforward, especially if you get Centrelink benefits. However, if you don't receive Centrelink benefits but you still believe that you are financially disadvantaged and that it's had an impact on your education, then you are entitled to apply for this category. You must, however, submit an impact statement and a statement of support. Disability or medical condition. Okay, also fairly straightforward. If you have a disability or you are suffering from a medical condition and have been over a sustained period of time and you know it's affected your education, then you are eligible to apply for this section. You again must provide an impact statement and you will need a statement of support from treating healthcare professionals. Okay. Back to category 1 because we're now looking at documentation needed. You don't need any documentation for category 1, just tick that box. Now's as good a time as any to show you what this looks like in VTAC. Once you have registered and you log in, you will see a tab that looks like this or a screen that looks like this. Okay, we're interested today in cease, so we go here. And this is a sample one, so it's already been filled in by a number of people, but you would have clicked first here. And remember, you can't do this until you've put your first preference in. Okay, so here's that category 1 I talked about. You have to tick this if you want to be considered for category 1. Then it goes down and you just see all the others and you fill in the gaps as appropriate. Okay? I'll just alert you to the other parts of this section because you've seen how slow it is. Okay, so everything you enter appears in something called your cease receipt. Yeah? You can choose to authorize a nominee to act on your behalf. You don't have to. Later on, if you are submitting statements of support, you do it through here. And we might come back to that. And here you can upload documents. Let's talk about documentation again. So if you are eligible for category 2 or 4, you have to write an impact statement, which has to be about 2,000 characters long. Now, characters, not words. So 2,000 characters is about 500 words. Make sure you do it properly because that really counts. You really have to demonstrate the impact on you. And if you don't do that, you've wasted your time. Likewise, the statement of support has to be written by someone outside your family who is over 18 years of age and who will take the trouble to write you a good statement of support. That's really, really important. Impact statements without an accompanying statement of support will not be considered, so make sure you do both sections. Documentation for Centrelink, for financial disadvantage. If you personally receive a Centrelink benefit, then this is really easy. You simply have to type in your customer reference number and Centrelink will release the data to VTAC. If a family member receives Centrelink benefits on your behalf, then you need to get a statement that shows that benefit. Okay, if you don't receive Centrelink benefits but you believe you are disadvantaged financially, it's like the other two categories. You need to write an impact statement which outlines the disadvantage and how it has an effect on you, and you need a statement of support written again by a relevant responsible person, and you may choose to supply other supporting documents. So for example, if you're working really long hours, you might want to provide a pay slip or a reference or something from an employer. If this applies to you, can I recommend that you come and see me and talk to me about it, because it's unusual, but it's certainly worth exploring if you're in that situation, okay? So, your impact statement. You have to write an impact statement for Section 2, Category 4, maybe Category 3. They can be up to 2,000 characters long and they are completed online. Down below I've reminded you it makes sense to write a draft in a Word document and it makes sense to show your support person a copy of what you've written so that what they write matches up with what you've said, and what they write should actually provide the missing information or the additional information. And in fact, what they're providing is what's called the evidence. It's all about impact and evidence. So you have to describe the impact these disadvantages have had on you, and somebody has to provide evidence that you are in fact telling the truth. And it's all about, if you look up the top here, it's all about how this event or situation or illness has affected your ability to study and perform assessment tasks, your access to educational resources, and your capacity to attend school and or tuition. So they're the three main things they're looking at. They want them to be personal, they want your words, they want it to look genuine and sincere, they want it to be short and sharp, so dot points are okay up to a point. What is important is the context, the date, and the impact of the disadvantage on your studies. Okay, now I have got some additional resources. If you think you're going to apply for a CEAS or you're going to submit a CEAS application, can you please come and see me? Okay, your statements of support. You need to ask the people who are writing support statements for you to clearly outline the situation or the condition if it's a medical or disability related claim. There needs to be a timeline with relation to how long they've been involved with you, but also how long this has been going on. And then they need to outline really clearly how you have been impacted by the situation or the condition. So give them plenty of time to do this. Give them the extra resources, talk them through the process, talk them through how important this is for you, make sure they do it properly. Likewise, if you're asking someone at school to do this for you, teachers are busy people. They'll do anything for you, but only if you give them time to do it properly. Talk them through the process. Show them the documentation. Ask them to do it really, really well, and they will. Keep reminding them that evidence and impact are the two keys to success. Okay, I've said down the bottom, again, I have extra resources. I can talk you through the process. Okay, how to provide statements of support. You can do it online. If you do that, you combine it with the scholarships, you can, if you tick the right box. You only get one option to do that. If you don't do it, you have to use hard copy. You can post your application as a hard copy, but make sure you use registered post and make sure you post it early enough to ensure that it gets there before the deadline. You can scan and upload. If you do a hard copy, you have to do 2 copies of everything because scholarships and CEAS applications, although they're almost identical, they can't be shared. It's about privacy apparently. Okay, so you need 2 of everything. If you choose to do hard copy, you also need to download cover letters. We will courier anybody's work or anybody's applications to VTAC. We do that on the morning of the last day. So if you haven't got your stuff to me by 9 o'clock, I can't do that for you. So October the 6th is the deadline. You can send an email to somebody which generates a password for them. You can do that up to 8 times. You can also download PDF cover sheets. You can also just upload documents through this function here. Okay? Hard copy, they are personalised, so you have to download them from the web. You have a message section here. Check those messages. The main thing you need to remember is that the CEAS process closes on day 2 of term. Thanks for listening. I hope it was useful, and come and see me if you have any questions. Okay, bye.